Hi, I'm Alessia, and this is my level design midterm project, the Derelict Spire. Jumping into things right off the bat, at the beginning of the level, the player can see only glimpses of a building in the background. They start in this city area where they make use of two mechanics that they have used previously within the game. The first is the ability to break certain items in the terrain. In this case, unused crates, old crates block the way, and the player is able to shatter them to progress. The second mechanic that they make use of is the ability to collect certain items from their environments, which we witness here twice as they collect a second collectible out of the 8 that are within this level. And one of the goals is to be able to collect all of them. So the player is met with a dilemma here, as when they look up, there is a third collectible that is currently out of reach for the player. Additionally, there is a building framed in the background, the building they caught glimpses of, which they only have one choice, which is to progress towards. As the tide lowers, a sandbar is revealed, which the player can use to walk towards the building. They can see some glimpses of the interior through the window in the very top of the building, but otherwise must just continue to walk towards the structure. While the building is inspired by the San Simeone Piccolo, the coast is inspired by the shore of Tropea, Calabria. These two different locations inspired interesting transitional spaces between the natural and man-made, and having an outdoor space allowed for the player to see the immense scale of this level's landmark. To our right, we can now see more clearly the terrace of the building, as the rest of the building slowly becomes obscured with how large it is, and the player can make their way up to the entry stairs of the building. Framed in the doorway of the building, we can see some rafters and then some objects in the background. To the right here, we can see another doorway, but for now, the player will progress towards these objects, which are in a shallow pool of water. One is a collectible, and the second is a grappling hook, which introduces their new mechanic in the level. Going into this room now, off to the side, there is one area to the right that's blocked off by a door, and one area that's blocked off by some crates, which the player can once again destroy. Here in this room, they can find the key to unlock the red door, which will allow them a way into this side area, which has some very large stairs in it. Ascending these stairs, the player may attempt to make a jump here, which will fail due to how large the gap is. This is where they're first introduced to really using the grappling hook. They have to use it in this area here to be able to pull themselves up onto the second floor. And it is used once again shortly after for the player to pull themselves up into the third floor, which is comprised of these rafters. The player can peer down into the level from here, but can also see off to the side that there is another area very similar to the one we just came out of. The rafter does not go all the way across, so the player can peek down and see yet their fourth collectible. And there is one additional drop where the player, when they edge close enough, can see the fifth collectible. With no stairs to make their way back up out of this pit, the player must use the grappling hook once more. They're very likely to miss the rafter on their first try. This little section is intended to teach them how to be more precise with the grappling hook to find the correct angle to make their way back up into this third floor area from the first floor. Back on the third floor, the player can once again see into that top area of the building, the fourth floor, which they caught glimpses of outside. And they must find that precise angle to be able to pull themselves up to that fourth floor final rafter area, using the grappling hook to traverse that distance once again. There is the sixth collectible that is found up here, and peeking out the window from this vantage point reveals that the seventh collectible in the level is actually atop the roof that is now accessible with the grappling hook. Climbing in the roof area and looking back down to the shore, the sandbank is now covered by water. The tide has risen again by this point in the level, leaving the player with one way to get back to the shore. And this way is to use the grappling hook back onto that original building, flying over the water and back towards the city. Landing atop this large building, the player will find this small opening of collapsed roof where they can drop down and collect the last collectible. The player is then free to drop back into the city from this taller vantage point. When on the ground once more, the player is then free to look back at the building they have just come from, now with new knowledge under their belt. With all 8 collectibles in their possession, the level is now complete and they're able to use the grappling hook further in future levels of the game. Thanks for watching.